ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the CD Racoola Show. Today's show, we're going to take a look at the 2019 film, Us. But before we tether ourselves down to Us, if you guys could take a minute to click that subscribe button, I would be so happy. And then you could tell all your friends that you made a 600-year-old immortal vampire happy. Wouldn't that be something? Okay, so back to Us here. This film was directed by none other than Jordan Peele, whom, as we know, is no stranger to horror, directing Get Out and Nope. Both good horror films to take a gander at. He also wrote and produced the 2021 film Candyman. I actually did an episode of the CD Racoola Show on the original Candyman for you guys to check out, but I did like Jordan Peele's 2021 Candyman film as well, that's for sure. This Us film was super unique, I thought, and a great story with seemingly every person in the United States, at least, unknowingly having a clone of themselves. The clones all live in some kind of giant underground facility feeding on raw rabbit meat. Raw meat. Sorry, I get distracted sometimes, and sometimes I get a little hungry. The clones call themselves the Tethered. How scary does that sound? The Tethered. Well, one day the Tethered all come up from their underground facility and decide to untether themselves via stabbing their original person to death with some golden scissors, no less. It's a jolly violent time. All the clones seem a little almost brain damaged or deranged in some way. I guess if you live in an underground facility your whole life and are fed only raw rabbit meat, you may go a bit cray-cray as well, as the kids say, cray-cray. The story follows a family, particularly a woman named Adelaide. Oh, by the way, beware, spoilers are a-coming. So if you haven't seen this film yet, stop this episode of the CD Racoola Show right now. Go watch the movie, then come right back here to old CD. I'll be waiting with open arms. So, in the beginning of this film, a young Adelaide gets lost, enters a fun house, and meets a clone, or doppelganger, or tethered, whatever you want to call them. And she is kidnapped by the clone and switched. The old switcheroo. So the whole story is kind of based on the revenge of the original Adelaide, whom is forced to live life in the underground clone world, which we know sucks. So, there it is. There's your spoiler for the film. Sorry if I spoiled it for you. A couple of scary things about this film were the tethered people were all extremely violent and almost like animalistic in the way that they moved. Also, only Adelaide's doppelganger could talk, because, as we now know, she was actually the original Adelaide, but her vocal cords had been crushed, so she kind of spoke with kind of a forced, whispered accent that was extremely freaky. The little kid with the creepy mask who was obsessed with fire was scary, and his sister was even scarier with a little evil smirking face. Oh, that'll give you nightmares. So, it was a fun ride in this film, and trying to figure out what the heck was going on was maddening, even to me. The cast, of course, was superb, with Lupita Nyong'o as the evil clone that actually wasn't a clone at all. And she obviously played Adelaide as well. She had a really scary look in this film. Oh, I really loved it. It's just a cool idea, this whole film was. Lupita, by the way, was also in the 2024 film A Quiet Place, Day One. I did an episode of the show on that film, but it didn't get a lot of views for some reason. I don't know, maybe that episode sucked. I don't know, but give it a view, but only if you have the time. Only if you have the time. I actually liked A Quiet Place Day One, so whatever. So before I conclude this episode, I think there was one thing about this movie that some people, some of you out there, you know who you are, they couldn't really grasp it. The fact that it doesn't explain every single detail. That bothers a lot of you Type A folk out there. You have to admit that. You need to have everything laid out perfectly. Those people are like, well, if they lived underground, where did they get the golden scissors? Or how did they get matching clothes to the original person? And the list goes on and on. To those people, I say unto you, you just have to roll with the punches sometimes in horror films, and particularly novels, and use your own imagination to think about these things. That's part of the fun of horror, you know. So, yes, I did like this film, and yes, I did find Us to be very scary and very unique, and my thoughts will certainly be reflected in the scores of the old Scarometer. Pretty darn high marks, I'd say. I would like to take this time to thank you for joining me here on the CD Racoola show. And if you or your clone, I don't care which it is, could hit that subscribe button, I would be most grateful to either of you. Please join me here next episode as we take a look at the film Christine. That was like the whole version of the Cars film. So, in closing here, my little blood bags out there in YouTube land, if you ever do meet your evil clone, just make sure it's not you who is the evil one. Let's be honest, if you're here watching the CD Racoola show, you most likely are the evil clone. Ta-ta, my dears. Ta-ta.